Hello, HSPs. How you doing today? We're going to talk about resentment. Why HSPs have so much resentment. In fact, it's some of the most I've seen across any group of people. So if this is the first time you're listening to me, I'm Julie Bieland, and I'm a psychotherapist, and I specialize in the highly sensitive person. I'm an author of several books for the highly sensitive person, and I also teach an amazing 8-week course for brain training for the highly sensitive person. So if you're here, click like and let me know you're here. If you've got questions you want to post, I might be able to get to some of them. But I wanted to talk about, why do HSPs have so much resentment? It's showing up in so many different areas. We were just talking about this in my course, and I thought it would be kind of fun to bring this up with you guys and have a discussion about it. And for those of you watching the replay, also let me know that you're here when you're watching, and I come back and check comments also. So where are you guys from? I love to hear where everybody is from. And it's always fun to see where we are all over the world. So as a highly sensitive person, it's really been my mission to help HSPs thrive, and I really do my best to spread awareness and education of the trait. So today we're going to talk about resentment. I see so much resentment in HSPs, and it shows up in lots of different areas, in relationships, with family, with work, friendships, children. So why do we have so much resentment? Any ideas why? You can post them in the comment if you've got some ideas, and I will also share some of mine. So what happens is that HSPs tend to be over-givers. We are always giving, and so much so that we often reach levels of depletion. And resentment usually grows if you're depleted or you're not getting your needs met in some way. That will grow resentment. I talk about resentment as almost being like a tank that you fill, that we've got filled up. And if you've got resentment in your tank, that impacts you in every single way possible. It impacts your relationship with the person you may have developed resentment around. It can impact your health and your well-being. It actually takes a lot of brain energy to manage resentment, to carry it around. And hello, nice to see somebody popping on. Yeah, pop on and say hi. I love it when you guys talk to me and click like and let me know you're here. Love if you love something. And I'll come back and read in the comments as well. I want to hear about your thoughts about resentment. So one of the things that I actually do when I see a couple, for example, one of them is experiencing resentment, is I talk about how do we create an ability to compromise well, as an example. And so I like to use this little visual that if you think about two people that want different things, whether it's a relationship that you have, a friendship, work, whatever it is, and you think about, like, this is what it should look like ideally when you're doing a compromise. You've got one, you actually say what your ideal is, and they say what their ideal is, and you meet in the middle. So you're both giving and receiving. What happens with most HSPs that I've ever known and worked with, and I've worked with thousands of HSPs by this point all over the world, is that HSPs don't tend to start here. They tend to start already compromising. At least here, sometimes even further away from where they started. And what actually happens a lot is that the other person doesn't know that you started here or here. They think you started here. So then they start to ask you to compromise some more. And if we start here and they're here and we compromise again, look how far we are from where our ideal is. And that's super common amongst all kinds of things. It can be as simple as, what restaurant do you want to go to? And one person, and maybe you really want to eat Italian food or something, and your friend or partner says, that they prefer to have, go to a steakhouse or something like that. So what happens is, for the HSP, is they will think first, what does this person want? let me try to give them that. And, that's fine to do sometimes, but it doesn't work long-term, because long-term, when you're constantly giving up your needs, will create resentment. And resentment disconnects relationships. It's very damaging. Relationships get damaged with resentment. I actually see a lot of HSP moms feel resentful as well. They're resentful of everything that they have to do at home, for example, and that can impact them a lot in how they interact in the family with their children. And again, carrying around all that resentment can cause a lot of problems. I also see that HSPs tend to do overcommit at work, meaning that they take on other people's jobs. I have talked to so many HSPs who do that. They're not taking breaks. They're taking on the job of other people, and people get used to that, which means they start expecting that you're going to do their job. And yes, I know many HSPs feel that they can. Hi, Rebecca. That they can, just do that because it's easier. It feels easier in the moment to meet somebody else's needs than it does to disappoint them. And I totally understand that. I used to be like that too, all the time. I always gave up my own needs to meet other people's needs. But over time, that doesn't work, because we develop resentment, and it breaks our relationships, and we're incredibly unhappy when we got a resentment tank. So if you already have a resentment tank full of something, does anybody have any resentment tanks full? Love to hear from you guys. Hi, Lilianette, and MD. Nice to see you guys here. Keep popping on and saying hi. I love to know who's listening and where you guys are from. So we're talking about resentment. And what we're really doing is, the other thing is that HSPs are often not doing their own care for themselves. We're just giving until we're completely depleted. And that will also create resentment. So we need to learn how to take care of our needs, how to express what our needs are, how to compromise in the right ways where we're not giving up what we need all the time. Hi, Sarah. You just resigned from your job. Woohoo, okay. Celebrating that, okay. And so, yes, it's possible to do well as an HSP in your work, in your family, and in a relationship. This is all possible, but it's not going to be possible if you're always giving up your needs. That doesn't work. And so it's easy to say, yeah, let's get our needs met. That's an easy thing to say, but it's sometimes hard to do for an HSP because we often don't know what our needs are because we've been so externally focused. So we recommend, this recommendation comes from Elaine Aaron, as well as anxiety research, as well as my own research, that we're recommending 2 hours a day of alone time as an HSP and 1 full day off a week, so that you can really reset and recharge. And that's something that will help you reduce your resentment. From what I have seen, HSP parents, working parents, often have some of the most resentment because your life is too full. You've got so much to do that you don't even have time to work on any of this stuff. Let me read some of the comments here. Rebecca says, I resemble the resentment remark. Ellie says, I certainly had an overflowing resentment tank. My relationship had now broken up. Yeah, overflowing resentment is just the killer to relationships. And it's interesting because on average, the average couple waits up to 6 years from the start of problems before they even seek therapy. And by the time they come in, it's really common for one or both to have a really high level of resentment. And when it's so high like that, everything is clouded in resentment. So things that wouldn't normally bother you will bother you. You'll get more irritated, start more fights. It's just going to be really difficult. So if you are out there and you've got resentment, I cannot stress enough how much you need to work on this. There's 2 things. You got to work on draining what's in there and not putting more into it. So little things like, giving yourself that downtime, that's going to help you drain some of that resentment, because if you're depleted, that causes a lot of resentment because you just don't have anything to give. Let me see some more comments here. Sarah says, feel so guilty about how much time I need off. And Regina says, this is so me. Yeah, Sarah, so many HSPs tell me they feel guilty for taking time off. I get it. I used to feel the same way. I grew up in a hardworking family, and we did not sit around and do nothing, or my dad would find something for us to do that we didn't want to do that was a lot harder. So I get it, and I know how hard it is to take that time off, but I want you to really work on the guilt, because if you're taking the time off and you're feeling guilty while you're taking that time off, you're actually not going to restore, because the guilt just drains out whatever restoration you would have. So I always say, when it comes to guilt, put it on the table and talk to it. Give yourself a week to practice doing the downtime and see how much better you feel. And then it's going to help you feel less guilty, because you're going to recognize you're a better partner, friend, employee, parent, friend. All of it gets better when you don't have resentment. And in fact, we think it's a really kind thing to give like that, but you're actually being unkind to the relationship if you're giving so much that you feel resentful. That's not kind, and that's not supportive of the relationship. So what's kind is learning what your needs are and being able to express them to get them met, because then the relationship is going to be strong and healthy. That's the kind thing to do. And as somebody that specializes in HSPs, I have worked with HSPs globally now for years, thousands of HSPs I've spoken to, and I know exactly what works and what doesn't work for an HSP. And if you give this a chance and you really work on this, it does get better. And when we're, you may have heard in some of my past talks talk about resentment. Talk about like the point system I use. I like to think about, maybe you have 100 points of energy for the day. If you've got a massively overflowing resentment tank, probably at least half of those points are going into just holding that resentment. And so it's draining you. So it's incredibly important to work on ways to reduce it. So what else, guys? What do you think about this? Is this helpful? Click like if you find this helpful. If you have questions, let me know. If you relate, let me know. So I wanted to give you guys a little information about that. And I hear that all the time at work too, that people are so burnt out, HSPs are so burnt out in their jobs, but they're also over-giving in their jobs. That, they work with somebody who slacks a little bit, or who isn't doing as good of a job as they're doing. So they think it's easier just to take over and do that job. But over time, what happens, and I see this over and over again, is that the amount of work just starts stacking up too high. And then the expectation at that company or wherever you're working is growing and expecting you to continue to do that. So your job description is not to do other people's jobs. Your job description is just to do your job and take care of you, to have that balance. So I really hope that some of these talks that I've been, giving you guys along the way is helping, because we got to talk to that guilt, and you got to tell it. Put it on the table and tell it and say, I know that you're there. I know in the past this is something that's made me feel guilty to take time for myself. But if I take time for myself, I'm going to feel space and energy. I'm going to be able to offer more to the people around me because I have the energy and the space to give, and that I'm going to damage relationships, work, all of it, if I don't take care of myself in the way I need it. And remember, we need to take care of ourselves the way the 20% does, the way HSPs take care of themselves, not the way the 80% takes care of themselves, because they have a totally different experience in the world. So we're talking about the way we experience the world. If you're super struggling with this stuff, I cannot recommend enough to get some support. Whether you seek out a therapist that can support you, and if you do, make sure that they're knowledgeable about the trait of the HSP trait, the high sensitivity trait. I have a bunch of books out about all of this. My new book, The Empowered Highly Sensitive Person, is really great, has been giving lots of support to HSPs. I am booking calls for anybody that's interested in joining me for 8 weeks and learning some of these skills. If you're somebody that's really struggling in any of these areas that I've mentioned and you want some support, I work for 8 weeks. I love my course students so much, and it is such a powerful thing to work with you individually and within the group of HSPs. We're really supportive of each other, and it's just such a beautiful experience. And I love what comes out of that, because you deserve to live your best life. You don't have to keep struggling as an HSP. And as many of you who have been following probably have heard me say a million times, I'm a 27 out of 27. There doesn't get anybody more sensitive than me. I'm at the top. And I used to struggle and be in survival mode. And I used to have such a hard time too, which is why I developed all of these skills and these techniques that are meant for HSPs. And, you know, if you're somebody that's been trying other methods and they're not working, part of the reason why they don't work is because most programs and books and a lot of the stuff that's out there is actually developed for the 80%. How they live life, how they experience the world. And that doesn't take into account the brain differences that we experience as an HSP. So that's what makes it so important that you have the right information. So I cannot stress enough how important that is to get information that is about you as an HSP. I have so much stuff on my website. For those of you that have been on my website, I really recommend that you subscribe to my blog, hspblog.com. I send out a weekly newsletter to HSPs that give you support. I also put these videos and send them to those that are subscribed so that you won't miss out on anything that I've taught already. So make sure you're subscribed, hspblog.com, and I'm going to have that in the link as well. Let me read some more. Sarah says, thank you, wonderful. Thank you so much. I needed to hear this so badly. P.S. I'm an MFT. Oh, lovely. Nice. I am an MFT too. And I'm really glad that what I had to say was helpful today. And Rebecca, you said these talks are so life-giving. Oh, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And, you know, I love you guys so much. I love the HSPs. If you want to work with me more directly to really dig into your particular stuff, book a call, see if the program is right for you. If it's not, we'll point you in another direction. But I really want you to have the tools. I'm so passionate about helping HSPs because you know what happens when you're out there thriving and living your best life, you're making the world a better place. You're helping people because that's just who you are. You make the world a better place. So I hope this has been helpful, guys. If you're watching the replay, continue to make your comments and let me know what resonated with you. I love to hear about what you found helpful, and I really appreciate the people that pop on and say hi and talk about that. So hopefully I got most of the questions today, and I hope that helps you. As you can have an incredibly healthy, successful life where you live in your balance and your center. I've done it. I've supported thousands of HSPs to do it across the globe. There's 1.4 billion of us out there. So if you're somebody that has found something that I have done that's helped you in your life, whether it's a book or my course, tell other HSPs about it. You know, we need to have this information, and it is my goal that this stuff eventually gets taught in psychology programs, medical schools. This information is not being taught right now, even to therapists. So if you're working with a therapist, make sure they know about the trait. You can even give them my books and materials, my website. A lot of people have done that to be able to kind of give them the information that they need about the trait. Your doctor needs to know about it, all of it. So as you know, I always have a ton of things to share with you guys. So I hope this has been helpful. I love seeing the hearts like just kind of fly up. That always makes me feel happy. So thanks, guys. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know if you found it helpful. And also, I answer questions along the way that HSPs have had, and I will also be sending those out in my newsletter when I answer the questions, either through a blog that I write or a video that I do. so that you guys are getting your questions answered. But if you're interested in my 8-week program, I would love to have you join us so that you can live your best life too. You deserve it, and I know you're going to go out in the world and make it a better place, and we need more HSPs out there thriving. Okay, guys, thanks for being with me today. You take good care of yourselves, and I will be in touch. I'll come back and read the comments later today as well, so if you're watching the replay, I will also read them and respond, okay? Take good care of your HSP selves out there. You're beautiful as you are, and we need you in the world to thrive and be your best self, okay? Take good care.